All right. We are live streaming. Hello and welcome to day 7 of Author Equals Authority Summit. Today I have an amazing genius muse here with me today, Yvonne Larson. And I really don't even know how to explain the depth to which she is able to draw up your inner genius and your creativity. The only thing I can do is let you explain for yourself, Yvonne.
Oh, goodness. I have so much rope. When you're scaling down a mountain, you don't necessarily want that much rope. You will need a little tightness on that line. Not that I do much of that, but yeah. So yeah, where would you like us to actually start with this?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so just maybe tell us a little bit about your background. I know you've studied several modalities, so that will probably help
Okay.
get us in the right field here.
Okay, great. Yes. So, you did have a conversation with me to invite me to participate in the Author Equals Authority Summit. And when we had this conversation, it was so crystal clear how when you are in your flow of genius, then you are able to overcome a lot of different things that prevent people who desire to be an author from actually fulfilling on that. One of the biggest things that people struggle with is imposter syndrome. Other things are writer's block or procrastination, could be fear of success, fear of failure, it can go all kinds of different directions. And so with regard to the modalities that I have done over the years, I am constantly tuning into my clients' needs with relationship to a mantra, which is when I embody my genius, I live my joy. So I'm always walking my clients through this process of looking at the contrast of the experience of life that they're currently having and this experience of life that they would prefer to have. I'm going to tie this into the whole author thing in just a second, but specifically, I think it's relevant to look at how all of these things will impact your ability to show up powerfully and get into the flow of your genius or not. So I have these clients look at their experience in their personal life and their professional life. And I have them look through the lens of all aspects of their human existence, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And I have them begin to look at where joy is missing, where joy is diminished, and where joy is not fully expressed in the world. And through this process, I can actually identify for them what phase of their genius journey that they're currently in. And there are 4 phases in the growth cycle of your genius journey, which are explore, evolve, expand, and express. Now, anyone who's tuning in to this particular summit is probably well on that journey. You've already gone through, it's like a constant spiral, of this process.
Wow.
So you've already experienced all of these growth phases multiple times, which have allowed you to gain that level of authority that you're now so crystal clear will be of service to the people that you desire to serve and that you need to bring into the world. But every single time that I take these clients through this process of where joy is missing, diminished, or not fully expressed, it always, always, always points to an area of their life where their genius is not fully embodied. And that always, always, always reveals some kind of limitation, some unmet expectation, some trauma, something that didn't go the way they wanted it to go. And so they created a rule, and that has created the structures that are preventing them from having that genius fully show up in the world. So because this particular talk is about getting into the flow of your genius so that you can have, what is the title? Structures for writing success. If you have structures in place that are limiting your expression of genius, then you're not going to be able to get into your flow of genius. So we need to address those things first. So to finally wrap up the answer to the question, the different modalities that I have used over the years to be able to create this whole very unique framework of support for my clients is through emotional release work, through something that I invented called the brain activator massage, which recalibrates people's nervous system in 30 minutes or less. And then this whole exploration of, looking at where physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually these things are in our human experience, and releasing those and installing the resources that you will have you be successful. So tools like coaching, life coach, business coach, hypnotherapy, timeline therapy, NLP, breathwork detox, yoga. and you know me very well. I'm never not learning. And when I discover something that I am like, I've been in the dark about, I have to do a deep dive really fast and like catch up and surpass because I have to know. I have to know. I have a compulsion, which is a really huge gift for the people that I serve, because I'm always going to be so curious about what experience they're having and how best to serve them. So if there's some tool that I become aware of, I want to go deep and figure out how to like integrate that into my toolbox and keep all of those tools super sharp and really ready to go. So there you go.
See, this is why I needed you to introduce yourself, because there was no way I could have.
I never know what I'm going to say. I really don't. That's what kind of makes this fun. So.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Wow. Okay. So, where do we start? I'll let you take the reins, because you obviously know what you're doing, and I can't begin to even try to act like I know as much as you do about this. So,
well, what I think would be very helpful though is actually having this conversation, because you have a heart to serve authors. So I'm going to actually put a question back at you, and we'll have a conversation about that.
Sure.
Where do you typically experience the most obstacles or challenges or resistance when you're working with authors? Like, what do you know to be their biggest challenge?
Ooh. I think a lot of them get stuck in the perfectionism of, they're either that or they don't feel like they're good enough yet. Overwhelm is a big one. And procrastination, but it's very well hidden because it's
very well justified.
Oh, I need to do this and this and this. It's justified procrastination. Yes.
Yes, exactly. Procrastination is definitely a tool, absolutely. So, okay. So I would say that most of those fall into that first category of they occur as challenges and obstacles because it's in this space of being out of their awareness. So in phase 1 of the genius journey, the growth cycle of that, explore, there's this opportunity for you to suspend whatever it looks like is the challenge or the obstacle in front of you long enough to look at where it like began with you. What might, the best way to say this is come to me. So what it is that this particular, I'm just going to label it excuse. So whatever the excuse is that you are challenged by, looking at what it actually keeps you safe from. So when I say that I'm supporting people in recalibrating their nervous system, and then we're looking back at the rule that got created that then set in motion the different structures that keep you safe, that's this mechanism that's happening. Procrastination or imposter syndrome are keeping you safe from something. And it's a perceived fear. And I love to share this particular phrase that one of my mentors said, that the only thing that gets smaller, the closer that you get to it, is fear. So, that scary thing on the wall is just a shadow, right? But we don't know until we get close enough to it and we're like, oh, that's just a shadow on the wall, right? So when we have this opportunity to look at, in the explore phase, what procrastination, what you perceive that is keeping you safe from, then we can begin to minimize the potential, like the story that we have about what's going to happen, the negative anticipation of what will come if we allow that excuse to disappear. So essentially in explore phase, it's really just about bringing those things that are out of our awareness into our awareness and identifying what role they serve for us. And then it's like, it really is, it feels like magic. It feels like once you become aware of that, you see the absurdity of keeping it in motion. It's like, that is just not serving me, because you have this beautiful gift inside of you, this beautiful wisdom that will totally serve the world, that will heal the world, that will elevate the world, that will empower the world. And when you put that into perspective, this fear that is only to protect me from nothing versus my vision, my mission, my passion, what I can bring into the world, it literally just dissolves. And it's a really beautiful experience to watch people go through. So that's where I'm going to end with that.
I love that. I definitely feel like there have been many times in my life where I have been stuck on nothing, and it's a very frustrating feeling.
Yeah. It can make you feel a little crazy, for instance.
Right?
Yeah. For instance, I'm in this process of creating a new iteration. And so for me, the phase that I'm currently in is the third phase of growth, which is expansion. So let me back up just a second again. So exploration, I just talked about pretty elaborately. Then we move into the whole evolution phase. So I did say in exploration that I think I kind of married the two together. So in the exploration process, it's just bringing that stuff to light. And then the next phase, which is evolution, it is boldly and courageously moving toward that and allowing yourself to evolve beyond that limitation. And what that will allow you to do is transmute that fear into excitement. And when you have that occur now in your nervous system, whenever you get that previous feeling that would be, oh my gosh, I'm so afraid, it becomes like, oh my gosh, what's around the corner? Oh my gosh, so exciting, right? So it totally changes it goes, instead of like draining you, it begins to fuel you. And so then we move into the next level, which is expansion. And you would think, oh, like, let's just go. And no, this is really the talk that we're having today about structures for writing success. This is phase 3 of the process, where you need to create the structures that are going to support and sustain your genius, because life is going to happen. Life is going to happen. And old fears might come back. New fears might present themselves. But if you begin to create the structures for that expansion, the people that will be around you to support you and encourage you and uplift you, the environment that will, that you can luxuriate in rather than be distracted by or just negatively impacted by the spaciousness. You don't, as a painter, go to the thrift store and buy a painting off of the wall to make your masterpiece. You go to the art store and you buy a blank canvas and start with your masterpiece. And so you need to actually sometimes clear your space, clear your calendar, clear your mind. There's so many different structures that you can do with that, like physical movement, meditations, breath work, body work. There's so many different things that will help you clear your physical, emotional, and mental and spiritual space so that you have the structure for your genius to start being expressed through your authorship. And then that last phase is express. That's when you get to go shine. You get to go give. You get to be at the bookstore, signing your books, getting hugs and kisses from the people who are so grateful that you decided to go through your genius journey and tackle these tigers and be able to just give your gifts. So I'm not even sure that I answered the question. I just get on a roll.
I love it. I love listening to you talk. Like going on a roller coaster ride here with you.
I know. I think that's what I remember now. So I was taking you through a recent thing for me. So I have been in this process of expansion. So I have done the work that I've done in the world for a very long time in one capacity. And now I am seeking to serve those clients in a different way. So it's like a hybrid of what I've done before. And there were certain structures for the expansion before I have the confidence to offer this to these existing clients. I needed to have the structure so that I was crystal clear, like how it would land for them, that I would be crystal clear that the context was very clear for them, that the through line, that it made sense. And until I, prior to creating those structures on the back end, mentally, like, what does this look like before I had some kind of concept? It doesn't have to be crystal clear because I'm much more powerful in the improv zone. I need an outline, a structure so that I can just freely flow in my genius. But without that basic skeleton of where things are going, then I'm very tentative. I'm like, is my next step going to be supported or not? So then I'm fearful to take those steps forward. So I know for me, this most recent situation, the moment that I could see like, okay, this is 3 tiers of what it is that I'm taking people through. The support level at this is this, the support level at that is that. And then the support level of this is like really deep and immersive. And so then I just have the conversation and it's totally effortless. And I get to be full of passion and full of joy and full of that like really commanding commitment for them to heal and to create these new structures for their genius to be in the world and for them to go live their joy and to have that ripple effect occur from the work that I'm doing with this one individual face to face into all of the people in the world that they get to serve and support. So that's where I was going with that. And I know what's on my mind next is to address a particular distinction because I have heard it so many times that, oh, I'm not a genius, So there's this phrase of like zone of genius, and that's not what I'm talking about. And genius like Einstein or Tesla or whoever, like that's not what I'm talking about. My specific definition of genius is like every single one of us is genius. And I want to call everybody a genius muse because when you are on your own genius journey, that's what happens in your life. You show up as the truest essence of who you are. And that is a muse for other people to step into who they authentically are. So for me, genius is not being incredibly gifted or super brilliant or your 10,000 hours to be an expert at a particular thing, but your genius is actually your soul's DNA that was assigned to you before you were even born. And then your entire life is this opportunity for you to explore, evolve, expand, and express various facets of what that genius is, for you to continuously experience new expressions of it and discover new vehicles through which you're going to allow it to be expressed to the world. So for me, writing, singing, speaking, coaching, the checkout line at the grocery store, like really anywhere is a vehicle for your genius to be gifted to the world. So I am done.
Wow, that was so
pretty much because I want some water.
Give me a second to take it all in. Well, you are definitely an embodiment of that structure. And I think that the problem for a lot of people is that once they get into that expansion phase, they retract again because it's scary.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's really only scary. So I have something that each of these phases I apply to each one of these growth phases. And part of that is something that I call the 3D fulfilled life process. 3D. So before I go into what 3D. That is, what is that?
What is that? Let's get 3D. I'm ready.
Yes, exactly. So everybody wants to go 5D, be all spiritual woo-woo, which I'm totally into, but but we are here on the planet right now, right? So first I want to start with this commitment that I have is to support entrepreneurs. And I know this is specifically for authors, but many of the people who are in your summit are probably trying to create that book so that they can promote whatever business or passion project that they're working on. So I feel it still falls into the same category, but my personal mission is to support entrepreneurs in mastering the art of fulfillment, helping them escape the hustle culture, get out of that busy being busy cycle that's completely zapping you of your entire experience of life, and actually experience fulfillment. And what I have seen over the last 3 decades of working with people one-on-one is that we're absolutely doing the best that we can with what we have. And we believe that the phrase model success leaves clues, model success. So we see this person in our field or a lateral field, and we think that, oh my gosh, that's who I'm going to model after. So you go and you follow that system of whatever it is that they've created. And it's not so much about it being a cookie cutter process, because there's a lot of cookie cutter processes that'll get your results, not a problem. But the problem lies in when you haven't taken a moment to step back and define what success looks and feels like for you, then when you achieve the success that modeling others is going to give you, or following those structures are going to give you, you're not going to have the experience that you anticipated having for all of the resources that you used to get there, your resources of time and energy and money and all the things. You are just wasting all of those resources to not ever experience what it is that you want to experience in life. So the 3D process is to distinguish, define, and design. So you would distinguish, you would first sit with yourself, with your thoughts. And I'm going to reiterate contrast. You're always looking for contrast, the experience that you're having versus the experience that you prefer to have. and look at what brings you joy. Like, this is why I'm joy, 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 joy. Very much like that in an Inside Out character. Joy. But yes, look at the contrast, like the experience of life that you wish to have, and create that. So for instance, I'm going to pull in something that I did in 2006. I have a history. I have been trained by the best productivity company ever. Okay. Way back in the day, the company is now called Franklin Covey, but it was Franklin Quest. When I was trained by their company, I was sent through all of their trainings on time management and product management and the planner. And I worked for that company. And, so I have grown to be able to get more done in a day than anyone around me. And I have busy badge of honor, run circles around everybody else to get those things done. Now, the problem is, like I said, I wasn't having the experience of life that I wanted to have. So I was sitting in my living room this one day, and I'm with this really strong sense of dissatisfaction. And I'm looking up at the wall, this white wall, over my shoulder. And I'm just all of a sudden I got this idea, and I'm I perceive this wall to be a blank canvas. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to plaster pictures on this wall as days. And I'm going to create a workflow for my life from a feminine place, rather than everything I described about productivity and effectiveness and efficiency was really from that get it done, masculine energy kind of thing. And I was like, I think I'm going to feel a lot better if I go about this in a more feminine way. And in this space of experience, what do I want to feel and experience as I'm going through this thing. So went back to the masculine. I'm creating the structure. I got the list. I wrote down all the things that I have to do every day, all the things that I needed to do every day, all the things that I wanted to do but wasn't doing, things I could do. Very extensive list. And then I go to these magazines and I start pulling out pictures to express okay, so if I have to go shopping, I don't really like shopping, errands and stuff like that. So how do I want to feel when I do that? And I found this very minimalistic woman with this little tiny purse. And it just seemed so calm and grounded. It was yeah, that's how I want to feel when I go do that. And I just pulled out pictures. Then I made columns with little pieces of paper on the top of the wall. And then I just started placing things on the wall. I was yeah, I feel like Monday will be a good time to do that. Oh, it looks yeah, Wednesday, that would be good. And I just put these things on the wall. Right. And even to moving into the weekend, I would spend Friday night doing things to tidy up the house so that I could enjoy my space on Saturday and Sunday. And I my schedule was literally on the wall. So I would look at the wall. It's oh, what am I doing next? And I started to really embody what it felt like to go through this process. And as I would move into each next activity, I would see, okay, so my intention, not the task, but the intention for my experience in this next activity is joy and play. Okay, great. So I would go do that. And like I said, I would live through the experience of these 7 days for a few weeks at a time. And I'd be it is really not flowing into this thing over here. I'm going to take this, I'm going to do this over here on Friday, and I'm going to do this thing on Thursday night over here. And so I just kept on recalibrating this experience of my life until everything was just this really natural flow. And I was really loving the experience of each moment of each day. And each moment of each day, I was coming to this with a really deep sense of presence and calm and groundedness and intention. And bringing that forward to what I do today, I take everyone who gets to be with me in person, and I guess I could also do this online, but I put them in what I call the magic transition chair. And I teach them the magical powers of transitions. And the example that I just now shared with you basically shares that process of like coming out of one particular activity and being present with what it is that you just accomplished, celebrating, because we never take the time to celebrate. And we can have these micro moments of celebration that are more powerful than a shot of espresso. If we just start giving ourselves credit for how freaking, I'm going to cry, how freaking amazing we are,
Yes.
that would be enough fuel rather than continuously telling ourselves that we're not enough or that we need to do more. Stop it. But the magic of transitions, to just get present to all of the magic that you create every single day and every single activity that you're going through. Celebrate that. Let that be complete. Let yourself embody the fulfillment that comes with that. And then move into the next moment powerfully, ready, empowered, right? Like, so, okay, I think I'm going to pause again. I'm going to pass out.
Powerful. I love that. I love that. It's like taking a vision board to the next level, where it's literally just expanding into your everyday experience. And wow, that's just such an
I just
amazing
come up with
story.
really strange things. And I think that probably that's one of my massive superpowers, and really the living expression of the genius journey. Like, I believe that each of us here in this summit, or anyone that's going to watch the summit later, each of us is the first model of the work that we're bringing to the world. And if we're not, then we probably shouldn't be trying to bring that to the world. Like, there needs to be that level of congruence with you living what you're preaching. And so for me, I love when I'm going to work with a client to get myself totally out of the way. Why do I love to take them through the process of the magic transition chair, where I take them through this process of contrast, where I have them get real about where their joy is missing, diminished, or not fully expressed, have them experience the gap between what they want and what they're experiencing. It's so that I can so fully feel into what will be of service to them, let who I am and what I am and what, on a human level, I might like want to project onto them as like the answer. Like, let all of that go and allow myself to receive whatever information is going to most serve them, not my version of the best them, but their version of the best them. And in this process, I just get like the most amazing insights and wisdoms and intuitive hits. And the things that come out of my mouth, I'm like, where did that come from? But it's so incredible because it's like this beautiful co-creation with the person that I'm working with. And I can go hours working with people because I feel like, wow, this is just so incredible to be able to be so open and so expansive and so expressed in my service to this particular client, and have them leave totally transformed and able to go make a difference in their world. And like I said, in that ripple effect. So I could just go hours because I just don't get tired of that. It's so awesome. Yeah. So.
And that is the beauty of being in your zone of genius.
Yes, exactly.
Is time is irrelevant. Your energy level is boosted just from your own
Exactly.
experience.
Yes, exactly.
I love that. Oh my gosh. So I wanted to just stop for a moment. I know you're on a really good flow here, but I did want to stop for a moment and give a few shout outs because Patty Mays is here with us on Facebook, and she's been rocking the chat here. She
Nice.
says, I'll just read some of the things she said. She
Oh,
said,
cool.
keep the tool sharp and ready. Subtle procrastination, yeah. Then she said, genius is your soul DNA. Agreed.
Yes.
I love that. When you said that, I just got tingles.
Me too.
Great process using the white blank wall. I use a journal collage. Yes, amazing and powerful. Be the sculptor of your dreams. I was actually
Yes.
in one of her journal collage workshops, and that was a
How
really
is
fun
that?
experience. But I can't even imagine doing that to your entire wall. It was very similar to your explanation of how you like tore magazine pages out and put them all over the wall, but it was just a little,
Yeah.
it was just a little
I
journal like this.
Yeah. Well, I just like I have so many different nuances. All collages are not created equal. And there's okay, so a picture is worth 1,000 words. When you create that there's actually the ability to create like videos of collages. So like if a picture is worth 1,000 words, how much more is a video of pictures, right? Of like what it is that you're manifesting. But I have like so many different nuances to collages. So collages for manifesting, collages to reveal what's in the subconscious, collages to install what it is, the new future that you are attempting. So not manifesting, but collages to reinforce the rewiring and the reprogramming of your brain. Collages for introspection. So like not just the pictures that you've chosen, but how you've chosen to put those pictures together. So the relationship of those pictures to each other, conversations that you can take that to another person without telling them what this is supposed to mean and let them reflect back to you what that thing is. So yeah, I've definitely loved the utilization of collages for like so many different things. And pictures are so good at evoking and invoking states, like emotional states and mental states, and that will transfer into the physical experience that you have. So yeah.
Amazing.
Well, I love this person rocking the chat. I can't wait to go to Facebook and connect with this person.
Oh my gosh, yes, you definitely would be
Yeah.
magic.
Yeah.
Christine Elisa said, Yvonne is awesome, and I've had the pleasure of working with her. I highly recommend you gift yourself by working with her.
Aw, I love you. Yeah, we've done some pretty profound work together. She's a beautiful gift as well. So she does a lot of shamanic healing work with people. And yeah,
Wow.
she is very gifted, very, very gifted. Absolutely.
Have her
So I
come
see you
to the
and I
stage
love
with us?
you. Say that again.
Do you think we could have her come onto the stage with us? Would that be too much? I don't
Oh,
know.
I don't know. It's your summit. You get to do whatever you
Are you
want.
brave enough to jump on the stage here with us?
But she's off camera, so she might not want
Oh,
to.
okay, maybe she's not there. Okay. Oh well,
She didn't even come on to say hello when I invited her to say hello before the recording. So I don't know. Maybe.
Okay. All right. No pressure.
But yeah.
All right.
So.
So wow. Now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh well. So many good things. I don't know if you had a presentation, or was that for the after party?
So the after party that my special little process.
Yes.
Okay, that's the after party.
Hello.
That's the after party.
All right, everybody on Facebook.
That's the after party.
If you want to be in the after party, you would need to be here on the Zoom.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a little teaser.
But what we can do is one, as you know, Latara is one of my structures for success. So as you know, Latara, I have multiple ways that I serve, not just the one-on-one work, but my 6-week courses, my 3-day event, my, VIP immersive events and stuff like that. But specifically, the 2 6 weeks two 6-week courses that I have. The Crush It Without Compromise course, and then the Supercharge Your Genius, Go from Overwhelmed to Optimized course. So specifically in the Crush It Without Compromise course, one of the weeks is all about that expansion phase of your genius journey. And it is a process that when you and I discussed me talking on this one, I thought that portion is what writers need so much.
Yes, I agree.
So when you've already gone through this process, hold on one second. Hope that stops. Okay. So when you've already gone through this process of distinguishing, that you're in that expansion phase, this is where that 3D, distinguish, define, design part comes into play. So you're going to distinguish, define, and design your rules, your routines, and your rituals. So your rules are the things that are probably best labeled as like your values. And we have values that compel you toward, like, into action. And we have values that we're like, I value this, so I'm going to stay away from that, right? They drive you away. So when you're clear about what those are, then you can actively, intentionally, and consciously begin to create the set of rules that will support and sustain your expression of genius. Then the next aspect of that would be distinguish, define, and design. What routines would then help you implement that prior phase in your life? I'm stuttering a little bit, I guess. And then the last one would be the rituals. Now, a lot of people like to say those two words and act as if they're the same thing. And in my reality, they are not the same thing. So in my reality, routines are those things that you create to allow yourself to kind of get into action and be in autopilot. It's a series of activities that once you set it in motion, it's just going to get complete. And a lot of times I have to work with clients that need to integrate certain things into their routine. And we need to actually discover what it is that they're already doing and where this new activity, this new behavior fits in, so that when they do this, they know that the next thing they're going to do is that. And they don't have to think about, I have to remember to do that new thing. No, that new thing belongs right here. So you don't have to overthink it. You get up and you do this thing, or you get up out of bed and you do this thing, or you're about to go to bed and you do that thing. It's lunchtime and you do this thing. I'm in the car, I do that thing. It's the things that you just get to create, set it and forget it, routines, okay? Versus rituals. Now, these are the things that your genius is gonna love, because these are the things that allow you to really be present, really indulge and luxuriate in a specific experience. So this could be your breath work. It could be your body work. It could be your meditation. It could be dance. It's these things that allow you to really embody a particular physical or emotional state that really fill you up, turn you on. Those are rituals. So rituals require presence. They require pause, pause, reflect, and introspect. So that is a distinction between rules, routines, and rituals. And when you have created what those are in relationship to author equals authority, you're going to naturally know the why rules. Why are you wanting to bring this book into the world? And when you know that, you're clear what values are supporting that. Maybe one of your whys is I want this thing to stop. And I am all about that being done. Or I can't wait to get people on board for this. or it could be a combination of both of those, but you know those core values driving this book coming into the world, it's going to get you up out of bed, right? To get going. Then the routines, when you've set these routines in place, that you're going to have structures for writing success, because when you start this, boom, 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 you're going to sit down, you're going to write, even if you don't feel like it, but you're going to want to feel like it because of your rituals that you created. So, so just a little pro tip. Before you kick into certain routines in your life, start with rituals. So the rituals will allow you to get present and embody who you really are, the essence of that genius, so that when you move into those routines, you're fueled and you just get to go. So the rituals really are the fuel, I guess, for your genius. And then the routines are the fulfillment of it. So there you go.
I am
What
getting a
else?
sense here that of the overall thread throughout all of this is clearing the space and being present. I feel like that is pretty much
Yes.
key
Yes.
to whether you're working with your clients
And not
or
having to,
writing
but
your
also,
book or
yeah, but the routines are really critical. So like if you don't decide if you don't create the plan and you don't have the milestones to fulfill upon that plan, then you don't have the critical steps of meeting those milestones, which won't tell you what you should have in your calendar, which won't let you know how much time to put in your calendar. So like they're equally as important. It's kind of yin and yang.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Wonderful.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. I don't know if everybody else is as blown away as I am about all this. Are there any questions? Any questions? Anybody want to hop on up here on the stage and share your aha moments?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
No, nobody wants to do that. All right.
Well,
Wow. Okay. So we do have a few minutes left. I would love to have you share what you said Jacqueline said thank you. I took lots of notes. Good.
good.
Definitely good, because she covered a lot here. But we do have a couple of minutes for you to share what your gift is for us, and if somebody wanted to work with you, how would they do that?
Yeah. So the gift is the Unleash Your Genius Blueprint. And this is the 6-step system to crush it without compromise. So many of the things that I've already shared in this conversation are on that, but you'll be able to see the flow of going through the process to create structures for writing success. Now, that being said, you are going to definitely be able to take away from the conversation that we've had and this workflow, this like process. You'll be able to identify things, create things, have some great ahas, all of that good thing. But once again, I am all about embody your genius to live your joy. So there's one thing about knowing, and then there's the other thing about integrating and implementing and embodying. So then we move into this opportunity to work with me in a 2-hour masterclass, the Supercharge Your Genius Masterclass. So I will actually walk through this with you and like work with you on this live in a group setting. But then we get to contribute to each other. So I can contribute through the use of all the gifts that I have to bring to the table, but then the collective, like the amplification of everyone listening to who you are and what you're about and what you're up to. It just gets so much more powerful when we have that opportunity. So yeah. And the Elevate Your Genius call is also a thing.
And the Elevate Your Genius call, you've actually been generous enough to give everybody here a $200 discount on that. So I'm
Yes.
going to drop the link in the chat for everybody for
And
that.
and the first 3 people who jump on that, I'm going to gift you a seat in the 2-hour masterclass.
Ooh, very cool. Very cool. So yeah, there are the links, and that sounds super exciting. Oh, and I wanted to also go back over here to Facebook for a second because Patty gave us some of her aha moments. She said, name your downtime.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So
And having calm in your life. Definitely being
yes,
calm.
there was a course that I took a lot of years ago, and they, rather than naming, like labeling things as like writing time or sort of like do your finances, like my title for this category, they like labeled them as domains, and my label for that domain was tidal wave of luxury. So I much preferred to sit down and address my tidal wave of luxury than balancing my checkbook. Different experience. So yeah, name and label these things. What else? What else?
There's so many good things about all of what you said. I feel like I love your analogy of it's like you have to go to the art store and get a blank canvas in
Not
order
the
to
thrift store.
create. Yes, not the thrift store, not the sad clown painting.
I mean, there's some pretty
uh,
pictures there. It's just like, but it's already like done, right? Um,
yes.
I think I want to just circle back for just a second to say that, we were having a conversation about the various things that you have identified as challenges for people wanting to bring their book into the world. And what I will say is that when people go through this process of, I love things in threes, access, and actually, I have since changed it. It used to be access, activate, and align with your genius, but now there's like another level. It's attune. So when you go through this process, you get so in alignment with who you are, why you're up to what you're up to, and you're so grounded in the conviction of what it is that you're up to that you really become unstoppable. So even when these perceived fears creep up, you're able to like slay those dragons really fast because you're just so grounded in that conviction of who you are. So imposter syndrome annihilated, procrastination diminished, annihilated, eliminated. All of these things become non-issues when you go through this process because what's the analogy of suiting up like for war, like armor, like way back in the day. So you wouldn't leave the house without being prepared for what it is that you're going to come up against. And when you go through these processes, you create these structures for not just your writing success but your life success, personally and professionally. When you create all of these different containers from that space of you being able to live the fullest expression of your joy through embodying your genius, then you're going to show up to each aspect of your life powerfully and empowering and inspiring and revitalized and joyful, all the good things. So I just, no matter what, whoever is watching this summit, taking away whatever you're taking away from this, my invitation to you is to really allow yourself to fully embody your genius, sit with where joy is missing, diminished, and not fully expressed, and have some conversations with the people that are closest to you about how you can take actions toward letting some of those things go so that you can have the life that you were born to have, that you can give the gifts that you were placed on this planet to give.
Mm.
I want every single person on the planet to have that. I can't get to everybody, but I am sure trying. So that's
And
my
when you come from
invitation.
that space, it's your it's almost your moral obligation to share your story with the world, because this is what
Absolutely.
is inside of you and you
Exactly.
alone.
Exactly.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Whew, so good. Okay. We do have one question from Patty
Okay.
May. She said, how do you take downtime?
How do you take downtime?
What do you do to kind of relax, I guess is what she's saying.
And can you ask her to clarify? Is she asking me specifically
How do
what
you
I
take
do, or
downtime?
is she?
I would say, what do you do
Oh
in
my
particular?
gosh.
Because I know you're really busy. So this is kind of a challenging question for you, I think.
So there's an expression that if you feel like you don't have the time to do a thing, that you need to make the time to do the thing, right?
Right.
So for me specifically, I have, oh my gosh, I require a massive, as you can tell, a massive reserve of energy and presence. So for me, I have developed a protocol of setting my alarm for an hour before I'm actually going to get up. And I do a meditation before I even get out of bed. And then that
Wow.
leads into a breath work session for myself so I can like fully get my brain oxygenated, get the ideas going, like come online for the day, and also see what my like kind of forecast. I like envision my day. I forecast my day in this
Mm,
morning process before I even put feet on the ground. Like I need to start ahead of the game, right?
wow.
So when I have my off days, which who as an entrepreneur has an off day? I don't know. I call them personal days, but even that doesn't really feel like an off day because there's still things to do, right? But on my off days, I will also enjoy in the afternoon between 2 and 4. I'll do like a little recalibration meditation, like a little 20-ish minute practice that I call yoga, or that is called yoga nidra. And this is a consciousness of moving your consciousness through the body. You're not actually manipulating your body in various positions. You're just taking your consciousness through your body, which allows you to become present to your body and in your body. And it's just really soothing and grounding. And then once again, when I go to bed at night, I do a meditation going into sleep. So that process is actually reviewing what the day looked like, celebrating things. Perhaps there was a moment here or there that I didn't like, wasn't present to something that I accomplished, giving gratitude for various experiences that I had throughout the day. And just like putting things, just like when we turn off our computer, everything needs to get filed away. And if you don't clean the surface, like you're going to start your moment of sleeping, of resting and digesting and regenerating and renewing with all of that stuff in the way. So I like to put all my toys for the day away, let everything get filed away in my brain, and let my brain have the rest that it needs to come online again for the next day. And then something else came to mind that, oh, yes. Okay. Oh my gosh. I am so going to tell a very weird thing that I do. So
See what
I
you
don't
started here,
know
Patty.
why. I don't know why, but I have a crazy fascination with palindromes. And if you don't know what a palindrome is, it's a number or a word that reads the same backwards and forwards. So when palindromes show up as numbers, many people refer to them as angel numbers. But
Mm, okay.
many years ago, I created this practice that I do all day, every day. And it was the answer to a specific question that I had. So I grew up in church with this Bible verse about pray and meditate without ceasing. And my literal mind was like, how on earth can you do that without ceasing? Like, that's not possible to do it without ceasing. And I want to be a really good person, so I would need to figure this out. So the closest that I could get to without ceasing was to every single time that my digital clock read the same, it's a palindrome, I offer up a gratitude, a prayer, whatever. Like, it's a moment of pause, reflect, and introspect, and awareness in that moment. So in that moment, I might, for that moment, that minute, that 60 seconds, I'm like, okay, so what just happened in the last few moments since the last palindrome was this? And oh, I'm so grateful for that. Oh, what just happened? That person that I'm working on, had this experience. And so, like, I'm going to say a prayer for them. Or, it sounds really busy, but it doesn't feel busy when I'm doing it ongoingly. It's like another moment to sink in. And so I would call this a ritual. So this is a ritual that I have, my palindrome ritual. I have now named my palindrome a ritual. And I have told all of you this strange thing that I do, but you might not think it's so strange. You might think it's kind of magical as well. So if you want to do it too, go for it.
I love it. I love it. Patty said, beautiful, love it. I'm on board with your routine. A sweet time to pause.
CBD baths, magnesium flake baths, massages. Yeah. Okay.
Wow. Okay. Wonderful. So I'm getting the sense that your entire day is a ritual.
Oh, wow. Okay. I just got chills. That was cool. Yeah. I mean, I can see how you would take that away. But at the same time, I think it's just back and forth. It's yin and yang, ritual, routine,
Got it.
ritual, routine,
And
ritual, routine. Yeah.
yeah, and that's such a powerful morning routine. I love that. I'm glad that Patty asked that question.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And then during the pandemic, I was doubling down, tripling down. I did so much meditation. You have no idea. But at the same time, this is where I was able to distinguish what it is that I've done in person with my clients all these years. I was like doing all this meditation and breath work because we had the time. And I was like getting clear about like all of these like processes that I've always done with people organically and intuitively, that it actually was a process. And that it was a process that I could do with people virtually online, not just in person. So I was getting all these amazing insights and ahas and downloads and clarity. And yeah, so it's when you allow yourself to utilize as many rituals as your genius requires of you, you're gonna be on fire. You're gonna be on fire in the best way. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for that. This was amazing, and you brought so much magic into this conversation. And it really can be magic. The process of authorship can be magical, people.
Your wish is my command.
I love it. I love it. So thank you so much. We're going to have a little special session here on Zoom. I invite you to join us if you're watching on Facebook. I dropped the link to the Zoom room in the chat if you want to join us. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye to Facebook land, and we're going to go enjoy our little session here with Yvonne. All right. Well, thank you and have a great day.
Nope.